Hi and welcome to the second drawing and painting with Deb's last post or live stream. Hopefully you've got all the little bits of kit with you. Thank you so much to everyone that joined in last time, and thank you so much for posting. It's been brilliant seeing your pictures. I hope as well you've managed to stick them in your window and you're starting your sharing with your neighbourhood gallery. But yeah, it's been really good to see those paintings of paintbrushes, and if you haven't had a go back and have a look and have a go at that as well, and keep posting them to me. I love to see what you've been doing. Today we're going to look at an artist called Mary Fedden. She's a Royal Academician, and I thought it would be fun to play with her style because we can use limited materials. I'm hoping you've got coloured pencils in your house. Shout out to the person who did the painting with the paintbrush with all kinds of materials that she'd obviously found in her pen drawer, which was brilliant. So well done, Nikki, that's really good. But yeah, so find whatever you can, I guess, to do these classes and have a go. And it's really about doing that at this rather weird time in our lives, and we're, just have fun, I guess. And hopefully it's been good to think about something else and getting ready. I'm just going to show you some of the work of Mary Fedden. So this is her a lovely book of her work, and this is the one that's on the front page. And what I want you to notice is that she kind of plays with still life. So there's this sense of here's all the objects, and then you're not really sure if there's a window, and then suddenly you've got boats in the background. So we're going to sort of play with some things like that. Let me just show you another one. Actually, this is quite a cool one at the bottom corner here to see. She's hung her objects with a bit of string. I have done that with a class before. It was quite bonkers, but it is fun. So you can draw things and make them fun in all kinds of ways. I just wanted to show you this one. If you can see, there's a little zebra. I hope you can see that, and I hope you've had a little chance to look online at her work. But this is a still life. You've got a table here and a curtain, and then you're not really sure where you are, and it goes off into this landscape with a zebra and a volcano, which is mad but fantastic and fun. So hopefully I'll just show you a couple more. Whoop, I just take that down. I just really like these ones here. Look at this. You've got this. She is managing to break the you need 3 and has got 4 objects. But there's a mark up here which sort of makes it 5. And what I want you to notice is she does this thing where she flattens the bottoms of things that should be rounded. So can you see that just there? The bottom of what should be an ellipse is flat. And I'll just show that again on some others. Kind of makes my arms ache. I need to work on this bit. So look at this one here. You've got a vase and it's got a little flat bottom. And again, you're seeing inside the ellipses, and they're not quite right. They're a little bit wonky. And I thought that would be really helpful for us to do that today. I'll show you more when I do mine. But it really shows very well on this mug. Can you see that? And there's the round circle of looking inside the mug, and I spend a lot of time teaching ellipses to my classes, and here we are going to break the rules. Straight line at the bottom, and then you can see into the bowl at the back, and the cards seem to be sort of jumping forwards, so you're not quite sure what the surfaces are. They're a bit odd, but actually that's okay. We're going to play with that. It means we don't have to panic about how things fit together, I guess. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do a little drawing, and I like drawing standing up. Now obviously I've set myself up on an easel, and I've set my still life at the side so that you can see what's going on. Of course, if you're at home, just have your objects in front of you, and you can draw on the table. If you've got a board, it's quite helpful to have it at an angle, but don't worry about that. If you've got it in a sketchbook, you can maybe just lean that a little bit on your lap, but don't worry too much. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to try and keep out of the way. So I've got a nice sharp pencil, and I'm going to start my drawing. And one of the things that I really like doing is kind of working with one single line. So I'm not going to keep taking my pencil off. And because I want to think about this pot and its straight bottom, I'm going to start there. Okay, so I'm going to give myself a little bit of space. and I'm going to draw the straight bottom of the pot. And today, unlike the watercolour, I'm going to draw quite hard so that you can see the drawing, I guess, and also it's quite fun to do that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to draw the circle of this here. I'm just going to put that in and I'm going to put the side in. And I'm going to let it be a bit wrong, because in a way that works better. It makes it a little bit naive, the drawing. And then I'm going to show myself where the plant is. And so I guess if you're drawing from your own objects, find the one that you want to make the most important and begin to draw that one first. And we'll have quite a lot of sort of colouring in time on this, so there will be time to kind of get on with your drawing. And I want to make sure that that lovely petal shows. I'm just going to make sure that's in with the yellow. It's got a lovely little stamen and sort of shape there. It's very cool. And a little bit I've changed the shape to make sure that fitted actually, so I can cheat. I don't want to worry too much about whether it's absolutely accurate. What I want to do is, does it look nice for my painting, for my drawing? Putting in some of the leaves. I had a little go at this afternoon. It slightly moved the pot. So that's good for me to think about it. And then there's the stick, which I am going to put in. I think it's kind of helpful. It's kind of fun. There's the stick. And so I've kind of got my flower, and then I've got this lovely little sheep, and I kind of picked that sheep because I kind of suppose I knew what was coming, and I wanted to have that in because it kind of, it'll look like it's in a field, only it isn't because it's on the tablecloth. So I'm going to draw the little sheep. This is lovely. This is by a lovely potter called Richard Ballantyne, who lives in Buckinghamshire. And I really liked these. I've got a few of these little sheep. I'm just going to stick that in there. And then I've got these glass beads and pebbles. These are bits of sea glass which I've picked up on a beach near Durham, Seaham or somewhere like that. I can't remember. And I'm just going to draw these bits of glass. Most of the time they gather dust on a shelf. I just thought I'd pick them up. And they're kind of my third object because I kind of am using them as one together. And I flattened out the drawing. It's not exactly how it looks from me from this angle because I want to put the top of the paper at the back there, and I want it straight and flat onto me. And although it hasn't got it, I'm going to put some stripes in, which is very much ignoring the perspective. So if you've got a pattern on your cloth, you can literally just draw it if you want to. This is breaking all the rules. So students who've been coming to my classes for a while will know that this is breaking lots of rules. I spend lots of time teaching them. But that's the whole point of having art rules, is that you can break them if you can break them well. And then in my background, I'm going to, like I said, I wanted this little sheep because I thought actually for my background I'm going to add some hills. Get lovely hills here in Devon. Oops, not quite that shape I don't think. So I'm just going to add some hills. And then to give it a little focal point, I'm going to put a little house, a little cottage, Devon Longhouse or something up there. And you put a tree around it, some trees. There, my little house. Suppose it needs a chimney. That'll do. And I might just put some clouds here, just to kind of, so you can see I'm being quite, I haven't quite got zebras in there, but just put a little cloud there. I might do a little bit blue. So I've kind of got a very quickly drawn drawing, and my assistant nearly fell over there. Hope the camera didn't shift too much. And got a quickly drawn drawing, and I'm now going to colour it in with coloured pencils. Now I have a big box of coloured pencils which has got hundreds of pencils in, but before the session today I picked out just a few because I didn't want to be confused with having too many colours. And it can seem a bit daunting to colour in a whole area like this. So I'm just going to show you a technique for colouring in the pencil. I'm going to bring that so it's on the edge. So I've got my pencils quite sharp. Is that showing there? And I'm going to put it on the side so that I'm using the whole side of the bit of the coloured pencil, whatever that bit is, the point, okay, I suppose. And quite nice is to sort of go all in the same direction. I had an amazing student in Buckingham who worked a lot with pastels, and she would do the whole drawing with every single stroke going in one direction. They were quite awesome. So I'm picking up the colour that's actually there. I'm using a sort of green. And by using the side of the pencil I can go quite fast. And I'm not pressing really hard, I'm just putting it in quite lightly because we can put in more layers later on. And in a way, the rest of this, having sort of sorted out where everything goes, put that line in, is a lovely colouring in project, and we're told lots about how colouring in is so helpful for well-being. And you can buy lots of colouring in books, can't you now? But how cool if you've done your drawing yourself that you're then colouring in. And one of the things that I would try and think about is I really quite like to go over the edges. Such a rebel. But don't get too uptight about, oh, I've got to come down each side of the edge and make it all straight and tidy, because actually this will look a bit more interesting if I'm a bit more playful. A bit like, I suppose, when we took the paintbrush last time and splashed. I'm going to pick up a colour that isn't there. I'm going to put the blue in, and now you can see, can't you, I can go in the same direction as the green. It just looks nice and tidy. It's quite a nice way to use. I have a feeling that I can hear behind me lots of pencil sharpening going on. If you were in this classroom, I'm sure that's what would be happening. I guess I could have said, make sure your pencils are sharp. And you can see that that's quite quickly coloured in. And then I'm going to think about the background, and obviously this little bit of green field doesn't want to be the same colour as the green of this, but it's quite helpful if it's similar. So I'm going to put that colour down to start with quite quickly. And you can see if I'm doing it all in one direction, whoops, just helps it to feel a bit nice and tidy. It's really easy to forget to do the other side. And just around the pot I might try and keep it a bit neat. And then I'm going to take another coloured green, and then I'm going to just do the same thing over the top, just to make it slightly different. And I can put a number of these layers in. I'm just going to take another green again, so I'm quite lucky because I've got quite a few greens here. I'm going to put the trees in. I'm going to press a bit harder for these little bushes. And then I'm just going to put like a little change of angle, I guess. It's kind of coming across there. Now my far away trees I want to make quite blue. Trees, hills, I want to make quite blue, because as things go away from us we see less red and yellow in the colour. Those two colours don't travel, if you like, so far. And I'm just going to put some blue, I'm going to use that same blue that I used there in on top. Oh, I think actually it might be purple. Oh, no. I'm going to do these bits in a little while, but I just wanted to talk to you about, it's quite helpful now to make things feel as if they're a bit three-dimensional. So I'm going to use this blue pencil still, and I'm going to put a shadow on my pot. I've kind of forgotten about the thickness, so I'll put that in there now. So even though my pot is flattened at the bottom, I kind of want to feel like it's got a little bit of shading on it. I'm going to think about the thickness of the pot as well. I can sort of show that. It's brighter there. So I'm just sort of using the blue as a shadow shape, and kind of tricky to make a round shadow shape. I can see a big round here, but because I flattened off the top, I don't want to really do that, but I'm just going to make a kind of shadow that hits the sheep a little bit. And then that shadow can go under the sheep as well. And I'm just using blue to make that happen. Obviously where it's a blue stripe, I'm going to make it a bit darker. And then I'm going to bring that green back up here and sort of mix, put green over the top where the stripes are, so that it feels like it's the right colour. I can put a little bit of shadow on the side of that house as well. Let's put the door in. So I'm beginning to get a bit of a three-dimensional shape. I'm going to pick up the colour of the earth, but I quite like that there are some roots. They're funny, these little lily things, aren't they? You can see sort of roots. Maybe I might draw those in actually. We'll just bring that. I want to draw some of those roots in. Look like little worms or something. Again, using the side of my pencil. Because it's a bit kind of crazy what's going on in there, I'm not going to worry so much about the direction. I'm just going to go in all sorts of directions. And a bit like the, oops, that's pencil. A bit like the watercolour, like working with watercolour, you do kind of build it up in layers. Just make sure we've got an edge to our pot. And then now I'm going to think about the sky. So I've got a nice light blue. I'm going to put in a background. And I'm actually, because I've got blue on my hills, I'm running that right across into the hills. It's quite a good idea to check that you don't miss bits. Edge. And obviously with a colouring in like this, you could take absolutely ages and really, you know, really get into it and go over and over it until it's all absolutely pristine. And I'm obviously whizzing along so that I don't have to keep you here on this live stream forever, so you can get on and do it yourself. I think what quite a lot of people did was watched what I did and then did it again once it was shared onto the Facebook page, which is a really good idea. So you've sort of seen it and you know what to do. You can stop and pause it while you're doing things, and then come back to the video when you need to. I'm going to make that little cloud. You know how sometimes they're kind of, those ones down there are really blue. I'll just make that a little blue cloud. Just going to bring the edge right to there. And you can see it's quite nice if there's really a, it overlaps, doesn't matter, it's not a problem. Just make that a bit stronger. So I'm going to come in with the blue, and can you see by building it up in layers, I'm now getting some really interesting things happening with the far distant hill. It's got lots of different colour, much more interesting than if I'd pressed hard right from the beginning. So we'll just kind of have those hills there. And then I'm going to think about the stalk. And I kind of again want to use similar greens to in here. If you keep using different colours all the time, the picture loses its harmony. So we're going to make the dominant colour the colour I sort of did over the top of that green. And I'm going to think about sort of drawing those in the direction of these like segments that you can see. And the actual leaves are a bit greener, so I'm just going to go a bit lighter there. And then again, I'm going to come in and sort of lay colour over the top again. So you're mixing your colours. So even though I've got loads and loads of colours, somehow I didn't quite have the one I wanted. And anyway, it's really nice if you mix colours yourself, and you can still do it with a pencil. And I guess one of the things I haven't sort of talked about is it's quite nice to think about how you hold your pencil. Or you might notice that I'm not holding it in writing mode. This is for writing, but I'm sort of holding it in a flat way so that I can really get my pencil down. I'm just noticing that I haven't put in some sky on the back here. Oh, actually it's a leaf. Let's just draw that in. And as soon as I get it into writing mode, the pencil, it doesn't work so well. It doesn't go as flat. But by holding it like this, I'm obviously able to really flatten my pencil down. Let's put that in as a green leaf. Oh, that's fun. Right. And then I spent a little while finding the right pink, I guess. And you know, this flower is the interesting bit, isn't it? So I'm coming in and I'm going to just try and find those crinkly leaves. Actually, they're petals. And let's just come in here. There's a little petal there. I'm doing a little bit of drawing with that now. And then softly put that in. Put some detail in a moment. And then this one. And I guess I hope what will happen with these little sessions is that you are able to you have got materials, and obviously we can't go shopping at the minute, but you'll be able to find stuff at home. I guess there is the potential to order things online, but I don't really want you to have the expense of that if possible. I just want you to be able to find things in your house. But I will do some others with sort of painting materials, and so on Friday we might do a little bit more arty materials for those of you who are sort of champing at the bit to do that kind of thing. But hopefully you'll be able to access some of the things. So I'm just putting that yellow in. You can see it's really, and I'm doing that quite strongly. And then I'm coming back to this, and I want to put some bits of kind of dark and light. So you can do that. You can add dark and light. And you can begin to sort of think about the veins. There's lovely veins on the back of this flower. They're just wonderful things, aren't they, orchids? They just do crazy things. And obviously I'm nipping along with this. There's a bit of green in that stamen. What you can't see yet, because I'm, I suppose, outshot a little bit, is that I do a fair bit of standing back to have a look. So even if you're sitting down, try and sort of sit and look at what you're doing, rather than just drawing away frantically. all the time. Have a little think about what you're doing, how it looks. Sit back. Sometimes I'll walk around my studio when I'm drawing, quite often draw on the wall, on paper, on the wall, and it's nice to just walk away and have a look at how things are looking. Put some green in there. And then I've got that green stalk. Let's use those two. Put this on put it in. Kind of green, but it's a dark green, so I'm just going to put that brown down first and put the green on top. And then obviously now I want to put my little sheep in. Just got a little bit of pink because even on these they're not absolutely white, these sheep, and sheep very rarely are absolutely white. They kind of tend to have a little bit of colour in the brown. Hand that out. Brown. Let's get purple. And I'm going to put the sort of face in quite lightly to begin with, and then I'm going to come in and put some darkness in so that you can see the facial features, just little dots to make the eyes and the mouth. And then I'm going to use that blue that I was using to shadow to come down the side of the sheep, just so you can feel the shape of them. Dot in that bird's eye. They're lovely. Some of the ones I've got little lambs sitting on them, which is quite nice. And then the sea glass. So I'm just going to colour these in quite quickly. Again, nice and light, and then you put a little bit underneath. Now I'm guessing that you kind of have got the idea of this now, and I don't really need to keep finishing this, but I might post it a bit more finished, or the one I did earlier. But you get the idea, gradually colouring it in. I did one earlier, which is a bit Blue Peter, isn't it? So here's what I did earlier. And you can see I've gone over and over and put things in and put other colours in and basically layered it up. And I think we just keep drawing and drawing and drawing. You can see what you need to do. Once again, it would be really lovely to see what you did and if you worked with your own objects. Just come back on my chair. Hopefully that's not too rushed. Hopefully you can see what to do, and hopefully there will be some lovely pictures for me to see that you can post underneath the videos. Are really good. Some people have been emailing me them, that's great too, but really nice to share it with everyone else, because it's lovely to see what you've all been doing. It's lovely for everyone else to see what you've been doing, so don't be nervous, don't be shy. Put them on that Facebook page if you're brave enough, and don't forget, put them in your window for your neighbours to see as they walk around in your neighbourhood. That would be really cool. Thanks so much, see you soon.